Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Alyssa, and on this channel I create budgeting content as well as content around all of the various side hustles I have, including reselling on Amazon and places like Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, and driving for DoorDash and donating literal body fluids to make money. I'm not joking with you on that one, but I am just all about trying to make as much money as possible. I have over $200,000 in student loan debt. Yes, that even includes the $10,000 that the president has promised to remove from our accounts. So I have a lot of money to make up, and I really have this goal of being completely debt-free, except for like a mortgage or something, by the time that I'm 30. So the hustle needs to get hustling. And on this video today, we will be closing out August 2022 budget together. I figured we could do the long route today in terms of closing out the budget. I have a lot of new subscribers on this channel. If you aren't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button in the bottom corner. It's completely free and really does help out my YouTube channel. But since there's so many new subscribers, I figured I would show you exactly how I close out my August budget, or really how I close out any month. And I do use the Budget by Paycheck Workbook by the Budget Mom. The link to her website is always in the description box below. If you are wondering, she does not have any more physical planners this year. They are going to be releasing a new PDF version at the end, or I think sometime in October, and I will be getting that one, but no physical products for the rest of 2022, which is super unfortunate. However, this is the full-size workbook. So this is the budget that we set up together at the middle of August, and this is the budget we set up at the beginning of August. So I've already kind of closed this one out, but we will be using this in part of the closing out of August. So this is what we need to really close out right now. And I'm gonna go all the way over to my expense tracker here. And I saved us a little bit of time. I do use the highlighter method for itemizing my expenses into categories. And I use this free worksheet from the Budget Mom's website. And I have everything sort of categorized out here. I do need to create a new one. However, this is everything, and I can have a visual standpoint. So the first thing that I need to do is I need to go through all of the different colors and assign them to the right categories, add them all up, and figure out what the total number is. For example, for grocery, my grocery is pink. I also have the category here, and so we need to add up all of the grocery together. So $29.28 plus $7.98. So my total grocery for these 2 weeks was $37.96. It's typically much higher than that. Don't be fooled by my low grocery budget. It's that the end of the first 2 weeks of August, I actually spent like $70 on groceries, and that was like the 14th. So it kind of has helped me for over the last 2 weeks. And then on the side, I also highlight the category as well. I just like to make sure everything is kind of aligned and structured here. So I'm going to go through, do all of the calculations for all of these categories. You'll listen to some music. I'll speed it up. You can always slow it down in the settings if you really want to watch me. It's probably super boring for you, but we'll do that together and we'll hop back at the end.
Being still and things are well. What facts belong, it's hard to say. Your pattern is so hard to tell. But we're together, that's our game. Round and round and round we go. The dance ain't over, I'm sure we're still the same. Love the ways you make us whole. Would you say if things ain't right? Look away, look away. What's really going on? What's really going on? Would you tell me, can't you say
Okay, so we've added up everything that is by category, and these are the totals here. So now that we have all of those numbers and know exactly what we've spent in each category, this is just for the last 2 weeks of August. We need to go back to the second half of August's budget and basically add in all of the numbers, fill out the actuals in this whole report. With the paycheck piece, so my total income for the month, this section we're going to start with first. So my paycheck, I did receive $1,651. I'm going to leave off the cents just to keep it simple. So it is exactly what I had predicted. And then monthly savings that I used, I believe I only ended up transferring $200 to my account. This was savings for essentially for my car registration. And then rollover was 11. That was the starting balance. But we had some extra income this month that I wasn't anticipating. So my extra income was $27 from Venmo, $289.5 also from Venmo. That was actually from my ex-boyfriend, money that he owes me. And then we had the other Amazon refund, $0.78. So an extra income of $366. We're gonna leave off the 28 cents. So we're just gonna write other Venmo, and that way we'll know kind of what it was, $366. And I wrote 0 because we didn't budget for any of that. So total income for these 2 weeks, $1,651 plus 200 plus 11 plus 366 equals $2,228. Now we need to go back through the expenses and write in when all of this stuff came out. Okay, so for rent, I did transfer rent of $780. Spotify, did Spotify come out? Yep, for $10. LA Fitness is not something that, so that's actually on my Bank of America. I need to switch that to my debit card so I don't forget to pay it. But there was this 24-hour fitness charge, and I'm actually fighting them on it because I thought I canceled my membership and now they're refusing to refund me, even though I contacted them the day the charge came on my account. So I'm trying to get a refund. I have not stepped foot in a 24-hour gym in 3 or 4 months. So I am kind of irritated that they're charging me. So we need to write in that expense. But in terms of LA Fitness, that was 0 in terms of what we had budgeted for. So 24-hour ended up being, how much was it? Let's say $33. And then electricity, utilities. So that's gonna be some extra rent payment. So $30 plus 19 gives us $49.57. So we're just gonna say it was $50. Did I transfer anything else? No. Okay, so we're just gonna write $50. Car registration ended up being $197 versus the $300 I budgeted for. Therapy was $25, and then Acorns, this is based on the $20 I transfer every Thursday. So one $20 amount, one $20 amount gives us $40. The rest is going to show up in the variable expenses down here. I don't believe there was any other payments that are included in the variable expenses. Actually, we are gonna write the Seattle Sounders here. I am picking up a season ticket from our group, and I think it's 5 payments of $94, and that came out, but I wanna make sure I am kind of monitoring that for September's budget. So we're gonna write $24, or $94, excuse me, here. So now we need to add up all of the bills and what the total was there. So we had $780 plus 10 plus 33 plus 50 plus 197 plus 25 plus 40 plus 94 gives us $1,229. Then we subtract that from our total income. So minus 2228 gives us, oh, what a weird number, 999. And that's what we're going to transfer down to the variable expenses here. Now, this is where variable expenses gets a little bit tricky to calculate because you have all of this stuff that is attached to a budget category, and I write a lot of budget categories down here that may also show up here. So it gets a little bit confusing, and I want to explain how I do that. And before I do this, I just want to write that we did not do any sinking funds. Starting with the groceries. So this is where we go back to the expense tracker. So for groceries, we'll round up to $38. That is what we put towards groceries. That's what we spent on groceries. groceries this past 2 weeks. Eating out, it doesn't show up in here either. So that's let's say $174. Obviously way higher than I was anticipating. So this is where I looped in car registration into gas and car expenses. So we need to subtract the $197 from the gas and car total. So for gas and car, we have $271.2 minus the $197 gives us $74.20. We're just gonna say $74. And then this is the same thing with investments too. So we have the Acorns up here, which was $40. So we need to subtract that from the total for the investment. So the investments was $63.76 minus $40 is about $24. Lots of fours today. Fun and entertainment, same thing. We need to take out actually Spotify and Sounders. So from fun and entertainment, how much should we have here? We have $113.25. So minus Spotify, which is 10, minus 94, which is the Sounders, gives us $9.25. Let's just write $10 since I've been rounding down. We'll round up for this one. Holiday, I don't believe there was anything. Nope, nothing for a holiday. We'll cancel that out. Self-care, we need to subtract the 24-hour fitness and the therapy, which actually gives us the $58. So we're just gonna write 0 for self-care. I didn't have any additional. Miscellaneous, it's $152. Is any of this miscellaneous? Let's see. Nope, it is not. So miscellaneous is $152. And as you saw, travel was 0 and pets were 0 as well. So we do have to calculate all of this up together. So we have 38 plus 174 plus 74 plus 24 plus 10 plus 152 equals $472. Now we need to subtract that from the leftover from after the bills, which was $99. So minus $999, $527. We didn't do anything for sinking funds. We're gonna bring this over to debt. And so what did we pay towards debt? So for debt, we paid, wow, almost $490 all towards Bank of America, all towards my Alaska Airlines card. So we're gonna write $490 as the debt payment actual. Bring that down here. Actually, we need to subtract it. And we're pretty much almost done with the expense tracker. So $527 minus $490 equals $37. We're gonna bring 37 down here. And I did make one extra savings. I don't think I wrote on my book where I put it. Shoot, I can't remember where I put that savings. I'm pretty sure I put it towards the house, and that's what we're gonna say. So $19 went towards the house, and that's what the savings account is. So we're gonna write house. Nothing was budgeted for it, and I put $19. After we do the 19, we need to subtract 19 from 37, gives us $18 left over. And then let's go all the way back to the total. So $18 left over, and I'm supposed to end with $19.42. So that is pretty darn close, you guys. I'm $1.42 off, and honestly, that's probably just because of rounding. I rounded up versus rounded down. So I'm very confident that I did my kind of budgeting correctly, that everything kind of works out. So for September, we will be rolling over $18 to the September budget. Well, yeah, we're just gonna roll over $18 because I've already kind of closed it out. It's already the 1st of September, so we're just gonna move on with our lives. So that's closing out August, the second 2 weeks. However, because it is the end of the month, we gotta close out the whole month together. And this is where it gets a little bit tedious. Some people do this, some don't. I choose to do it because I do really think that it's helpful just to see where you went over budget, where you were under budget, where you kind of made progress versus not progress. And I do find it helpful, and I would encourage you to try it a couple of times. but it does also take a couple of times to really get the hang of it. So the debt payment plan, I do not use these sheets for a variety of reasons, mainly because I'm not paying off my student debt right now. I have a separate savings account for it, and really the only credit card that I use is for my business account. So it's just not really something I've been tracking, and I don't track my assets and liabilities because I don't want to kind of put all of that information on YouTube. Maybe one day when I'm completely debt free and we can talk about all of that, but I'm just not comfortable sharing kind of all my assets and where everything is right now, if that makes sense. There's a little bit of secrecy I want to keep to myself here. This is the sheet that I do want to do because I do find it helpful. So I've done this for every month of this entire year and since I started the Budget by Paycheck journey. And this is where I think it gets a little bit confusing for people when you're closing out the budget. So I figured we could do it together. If you have questions, if you've done this before in your life and you're just wanting to listen to me do it, perfect. Love that. Appreciate you so much. If you're here to also learn, I am happy to kind of walk you through the steps. So the starting balance is really what you rolled over from July. So this entire page is going to encompass the entire month of August. So if we go all the way back to the beginning of August's paycheck, how much did we roll over? The actual amounts. What we're really looking for right now is the actuals. So for actual, we rolled over $291. So that's going to be the starting balance. The earned income, and by the way, all of this is at the very front of the book if you're curious. I think it's easier for me visually to watch somebody else do it. That's how I learn. So the earned income for me is everything that really was my paycheck from my full-time job. So that's going to be the $1,651 plus 3243 because I earned that commission. We'll come back to the savings piece. And then we also had 1651 over here. So my total earned income this month was $6,545 because I got, I think, 4 commission checks at the beginning of August. Not too bad if I say so myself. That's pretty good earned income for the month. Other income will be things like Venmo, or I don't know, you got a refund for something like I had shown you guys already. Everything really but savings that you didn't use. So I didn't have any other income here except for savings, which we're gonna do in the next step. But here I did have other income of $366. So that's what we're gonna do here. $366. And the reason I'm not counting this rollover is because it was already encompassed in this earned income here. So I'd be double counting $11. Now savings used, so we need $248 plus what I used in the second 2 weeks. There's a lot of flipping back and forth, which was $200. So $448. Now we add all of this up and that's the total for the month. So we have $291 plus $6,545 plus $366 plus $448 equals $7,650 of the total monthly inflow. This is not a typical month for me. Please do not feel like I make a lot of money because this is not an accurate representation. And honestly, we'll go through all of the total spent here. I spent a lot of money on rent this month. I think almost half of this. That's going to be my prediction that I spent on rent. So now we do take the budget categories again and write them all alongside here, but we're not going to highlight them yet. I choose not to highlight them. Okay, so now that all of this is written down, we really have to go back and calculate the monthly budget we had set for ourselves for each of these categories. Some of them, it's super simple to calculate. Some get a little bit more complicated. So we need to use both flipping back and forth again, the beginning of August and the second half of August as well. So for basically the grocery category, we'll start simple. So we had budgeted 20 for the first 2 weeks, so 20. Plus we had 100 budgeted for the second. So total, we had budgeted 120, and I like to do all of the lines across, well, at least these two all at the same time. So it's easy to just do at the end. So 120 total monthly budgeted. And then actually what's super simple too, if when we get into the more complex ones, is just going back to the expense trackers and calculating the monthly spent from there. So the first half, we spend $192.53 on groceries, plus the second half, we spent $37.96 equals $230.49, making the difference. So we were over by $110, and that's what I'm gonna leave it at for simple math purposes. I do negative because I do 120 or whatever is in budgeted minus this amount, and that means I was negative. I went to the negative for that category. I didn't have those funds budgeted for that. So same thing with the eating out. This one will be easy to calculate. So we have 100 for the first 2 weeks and 100 for the second 2 weeks. So that total was 200. And then we can still use this side of the budgeting. So we have 142 for the actual eating out plus 174 for the second half. So the total was 316, and then that would give us a negative 116 that we were over budget on. Gas and car, so this is where things get a little bit different. It gets a little bit complicated here. So what did I budget for the month? So for the month, I did budget $300 for car registration in the first half. I also had budgeted $100 for gas and car. And then the second half of the month, I also budgeted $300 again because I did not actually pay it the first half of the month. And then I budgeted $50 for gas. So total budget was $750, but actual, and this is where I'm just gonna go back to my expense trackers versus kind of adding everything up individually. So we spent $0 the first half, but the second half we spent $271.20, and that's the number I'm going to use. As you can see, I did not calculate the insurance yet because we're gonna have to wait till the very end into the insurance category because I do separate it out. Car registration, I'm just looping in to like gas and car because it's not really insurance. It's also not really a gas and car expense, but I mean, if I want to drive my car legally, I need to pay the registration. So that is everything for the gas and car. We need to do the difference here. So 750 minus 271 equals 479, and that was a positive. I was in the green for that category. Now for debt, also an easy calculation. So we had budgeted $600 at the beginning of the month and $207. So like it says 807 budgeted, but the actual amount is $600 plus 490. So $1,090 we put towards debt minus 807 gives us negative 283, because remember 807 minus this number would give us a negative. For investments, this is kind of one of those things where I've got split numbers here. So budgeted, we have 40 in the first half plus the 40 in variable expenses. And then the second half, we have 40 here again plus 40 equals 160 total budgeted. And then I'm gonna use the expense trackers for this one because it's gonna be easier. So we had the first half, oh, this is the second half, but since we're here, 63.76. And then over here we had 53.62. So $117.38, need a minus 160, gives us about $42, and this is gonna be a positive. And then for savings, let's see here. So budgeted for savings, we had 211 at the first half, and then we had 0, so our budget was 211. But how much did we actually put towards savings is 300. For this part of the month, the first half, and then $19. So it's $319, and then if we do 211 minus 319 gives us negative 108. Savings and debt, obviously much better to be into the negative for. Rent, this is a similar kind of situation. Rent and utilities, which includes electricity. So budgeted, we had $1356 plus $1593 plus 50, and then we need to go to the second half, which was 780 plus 100. Is there any others? Nope. So it was $3,879 budgeted, but the actual, and we'll go to the expense trackers on this one. So rent for the first half, $3,004 plus, let's see, the second half was 829.57, 3,833 point, let's round up at 0.6. So now we need to do 3,879 minus 3,833 equals $46. Okay, and then we just keep going. I'll fill out the rest of this. You guys hopefully get the hang of it, and then we'll do the percentages together.
So if you wanna be with me, baby, can't you see? You gotta make room for a self-made woman like me. You gotta make room for a self-made woman like me. Gotta make room for a self-made woman. Gotta get up, gotta get on the floor. You know you're looking at a self-made woman. I don't expect you to lie down flat, not unless you really want. I'm not after a new adornment or a pretty thing to flaunt.
Okay, so we've calculated everything together here, and now I don't find the percentage piece a super useful kind of analytic. However, kind of doing these numbers is really eye-opening, and knowledge is definitely power. For example, realizing I really over budgeted or under budgeted in the miscellaneous category by $275. Or that also means I spent too much money in the miscellaneous category. I need to really cut down on miscellaneous expenses. But the pink is the areas where I was over budget, and the greens are areas where I was under budget. So debt and savings, I was over budget, but those are really good things. Grocery and eating out, I have areas of improvement for sure to kind of be more on board. The red ones are really repeat offenders on my budget. If you watched any of my other closeout videos, you know these are pretty much the categories that I go over in. I'm not proud of it, but I am trying to get better at really sticking to my budget. So how we calculate the monthly inflow is essentially taking the monthly spent and dividing it by the total monthly inflow, and then timesing it by 100. So if we do 230 divided by 7650 times 100 gives us 3%. And if you do that for all of them, you will eventually obviously see your total percentages in the side here. So I'm gonna do that really fast and we'll hop back together.
Every change has a reason, baby, let it come to you. Every soul, every season lives outside of status quo. If we stop believing we're meant to be, expanding our abilities. If the passion's gone, we are doing it wrong. Baby, you and I should start living now.
All right, so as I had predicted, my rent from August was literally exactly 50% of my total monthly inflow. That's because I had to basically pay, I don't know if you would say triple rent, but I had to pay first and last months on my new apartment or new house that I'm living in, but then I also had to pay rent on my old apartment while they found a new tenant. So that's why this number is so extremely high. It's not normally like that. Now the last part of this step, because in full honesty, I don't fill out these numbers here. I don't find comparing months, because it's like apples and oranges, right? Like July is so different than August, especially in my month. And if my life was a little bit steadier and I didn't have some wild, crazy things happen, maybe this would be useful, but it just wouldn't be helpful for me in my opinion, but I would encourage you, if you don't have a lot of wildlife things happening, definitely fill this out and you can compare your months together. This is where I think people get really tripped up, and it took me a while to figure this out for myself. But for calculating where did my money go for debt and savings, for the total monthly inflow, this is the number you use. You use $7,650. And then you bring the monthly debt payoff, which was $1,090, and then the percentage was 14%. However, for the savings, you do total monthly income, which is everything here minus the savings used. So if we had 7,650, but we had $448 in savings, we're going to subtract that, which gives us $7,202 left over. And then the savings total, we're going to write $319, but then we need to divide the $319 by this number. We can't use this number because it's based on this. So divided by 7,202 gives us 4.4% here. And then to go one step further, writing out the debt category. So if we go back to the budget, what did we spend for debt? It's all the Alaska Airlines card. So this one's gonna be super easy. So the total for this 90 and 100% of this number went to the Alaska Airlines card. But with the savings, this is where it's gonna get a little bit more interesting. So for savings, we had student loan, house, and emergency fund, and then also house here. So we had emergency fund, student loan, and house. So for the total that we put there, so for the student loan and emergency fund, we put 100, and then we put 119 towards the house, gives us 319. Oops, I wrote that in the wrong category. So 100, 119. And then we're gonna divide these numbers by this number here to give us what percentage of the total saved went to these categories. So 100 divided by 319 is 31%, and obviously since this is the same, it will be the same. We have 119 divided by 319 gives us 37%. I think that gives us 99%, but with all the additional numbers, that's kind of where it all went. So that is how I close out the month's budget. Like I said, knowledge is power. Seeing where your money went at the end of the month, all on kind of these 2 pages. I was doing really good for a while at the beginning of the workbook, entering in all of my numbers for the month. See here, I kind of stopped when my relationship literally went haywire and I haven't been able to fill out, but maybe that'll be my project this weekend, is to fill out all of these numbers, and that way I'll have a full month kind of report here. I don't think I was tracking anything with sinking funds. This didn't happen really or anything. This didn't really happen. So yeah, hopefully that video was helpful in terms of closing out the budget, especially if you're new to the Budget Mom. I know it can be really confusing. Thank you so much for watching this YouTube video. Hit the subscribe button. I would really, really appreciate if you could follow along on my journey. Leave me a comment below on how your August went and really what you're looking forward to going into September and your September budget. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.